All right, what's up, everybody? It is August 6th. It is officially fall camp season. HuskGuys is here. I'm David. Andrew's joining us shortly. We've got a very special guest tonight. I got Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews here. Pick6previews.com. Absolutely outstanding college football season preview show. He previews all 68 Power 4 teams. He does conference predictions, game grader formula, 12-team playoff era. Ridiculously accurate. If you read it, it's not only thorough, it's accurate. He predicts everybody well except Nebraska because we just continue to underperform. But we'll get into that as we go for it. But Brett, thanks again for joining us. You were on the show last year. Welcome back.
David, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. And, it was great to meet in person out there in Lincoln. I was down for the Colorado game. We'll discuss that later in the show. But, yeah, thanks for having me. It's a busy time of year. It's preview magazine season. The digital copies are going out. Another truckload of hard copy magazines is going out. But yeah, I'm excited to break down a wide open season. And I also want to congratulate Husker Nation on yet another offseason national title. I'm hearing dark horse playoff whispers, 10 wins.
Good.
So right on pace, right on schedule.
It is. It's like clockwork. It's absolutely outstanding because you lived it. You went to the Colorado game, which it was unbelievable. I mean, that you were at the game. I was at the game. Andrew was at the game. An absolutely unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable game that, most electric, like the Tommy Hill touchdown. I think were you on the sidelines for the Tommy Hill pick six?
Yeah. So it was right down my end zone too. I was at about the 10-yard line, and it's funny because when I go to games live like that, I try and record maybe a play or two just so I can kind of get the feel for it. And usually it's a throwaway play. It's like a 3rd and 5 or whatever. It's like a not important play. The one play I decided to tape was that one. So
Oh,
I had
good.
my phone out perfectly. I was watching it right in front of me. The phone was placed, but I was watching in real time. And oh my gosh, what a play! What a moment! It almost felt like a decade's worth of heartbreaks and anger and frustration was just released out of that stadium on that play. I think it was the loudest I'd ever heard a stadium, and I've been all over the place, but that was peak college football right there.
It was, I mean, I would agree with that. And I've said a couple times, I've tweeted a few times, and Andrew's giving me trouble for this, but I was like, that was a top 5, probably top 10, maybe top 5 moment for me in Nebraska. I was with my kids. It was their first Nebraska game. I was so desperate for them to see a Nebraska win, to be a Nebraska game.
Mhm.
And then I was so anxious going into it. You had the Dion factor, you had the Travis Hunter factor, you had the Shadur's factor, all of it in there. And then to go up 14 like that, and I was screaming. I mean, I was screaming as loud as I've screamed in a long time. I think the place was going absolutely nuts. Like, it was probably the loudest I'd heard it since Alex Henry kicked his game winner back against Colorado.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
pretty outstanding. We definitely, yeah, that's awesome. We were there.
And yeah, because I was out there I think it was 2021 when they hosted Oklahoma, and because I was fired up to see that. I wanted to see the old rivalry and all that, but it just fell flat. I think it was a total blowout. So I,
Yeah.
I remember that day. I was like, you know what? I don't know when. It might be 5, 10 years. I want to come back and see this thing at its best. And when all that Rule and Dion rivalry was heating up, I wanted to go see it. And man, Husker Nation did not disappoint. I remember the student section filled out like an hour and a half early. You don't see that anywhere else. It was
Yeah.
completely packed. The game day atmosphere stuff, I got to give those guys credit too. In the back office there with the drone show, the fireworks. I mean, it was really top notch. I had seen Nebraska grow from that 2021 visit till last year. I mean, they made leaps and bounds and all that stuff too, which is important. If you're hosting recruits, you want to show them a good time. But yeah, that pick six was memorable. Seeing the Sanders brothers yelling at Nebraska fans and seeing Shadur leave the game early,
Yeah.
that was I'll never forget that. And then I think it might have been the first ever field storming at Nebraska, or at least the first I've ever seen.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that
We
was pretty
stormed
cool.
it. I stormed with my kids. I
Did
was
not
there with
expect that.
a couple of my brothers. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, Andrew, obviously, and then Ray, who's listening. We stormed the field all together. My kids were like, do we always get to run on the field? It's like, no, this is a very rare opportunity. It seems silly in hindsight to storm the field against a team like that. But I mean, just like you said, it's like you get to experience such little joy over the last, 5-10 years of this program that you take the moment to do it. That's a fun one to be at. I remember I did see your video that you filmed. It was freaking awesome of the Tommy Hill touchdown. But just what's interesting about that game too is it was so much more than just like the pick. It was so much more than the atmosphere because I was like, man, this is a legitimate good team. Like, this is a great team. And then, we played well for a lot of the season, finished very poorly. But getting back to how you're talking about, like, the hype train, which always cracks me up, is, and we're, obviously a big proponent of it, is we finished and, we lost 5 of our last 6 games, which is a total disaster. And we can get into that in a second. But no matter what, everybody forgets over the course of the long 9-month off season. And here we are. We're right back in it. And people are like, yeah, Nebraska can win 10 games. They're like, well, yeah, because you didn't watch any of last year's games and you forgot about it. And here we are right back. Everybody's talking about 10 wins. We got dark horse playoff talk. We got all sorts of stuff, which that's why I enjoy having you on, because you're definitely the most grounded of all.
Yeah, well, your mind always goes back to the peak moments, like that first half against Colorado, and specifically the first half, because the second half got a little ugly there, a little boring, but they looked incredible in the first half. I mean, it held Colorado to negative rushing yards. Beyond the score, just the physicality. They were just dominating. I was standing next to Will Compton there on the sideline. His crew was in town, and remember, he did the big pregame speech and all that. So he was amped. I mean, every play he's jumping up and down, and it was cool. I think it must have been some kind of 10-year reunion of the 2014 team or something, because I recognized a lot of those guys down there too. Kenny Bell, I drawing a blank on some of the other guys' names. His fro always stands out though. I know him. But they were celebrating, going crazy down there. It was cool. So I'm glad I got to see it. But yeah, looking forward to this year. There's a lot to like. I know, it's a third year for Matt Rule. You expect a big boom in his third year. He's done it at Temple. He's done it at Baylor. Here he is again. He's a great player developer. And this time he's got the transfer portal at his disposal, unlike those other 2 rebuilds. So I think he added a lot around Raiola to make it work. So we'll get into it. But
let's start. I want to start here. So for those just joining, we've got Pick 6 previews on. This is Brett, pick6previews.com. So you guys got to check out this. We're going to go into in depth the preseason write-ups he does for every single team, especially Nebraska's, which is fantastic, which we'll get into here. But I first want to go back to last year's. I went back. We had Brett on last year, and we worked through our season last year. Brett is extremely well read across the entire country, which is always helpful to kind of reground us in it, and was very, very accurate across the board. So I want to actually call out a couple things. So for one, you nailed the Big Ten. You nailed Ohio State. You said on our show they're going to win the Big Ten. You said they're very likely to win the national championship. Maybe that was obvious in hindsight because they spent $20 million, but it's still you were very out front on Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon across the board. So I trust your judgment at the top end. That was a very strong pick on your part. Congratulations. You nailed those.
So it's good there, but you know what? With every good pick, you have some that everyone misses on, and you had an Indiana surprise. You had, Arizona State and BYU from the Big 12. So there's just some that no matter what kind of research and numbers you try and back it up with, you're always going to have some outliers, and that's why we love college football. So you just want to try and find that gem, uncover the gem here for 2025. But thanks. Ohio State was the pick and really clicked into form. I think had it been a BCS format or a 4-teamer, that pick would have missed because they needed that second mulligan there to get in.
Yeah, exactly right. So Andrew, thank you for joining us. Welcome to your own podcast.
God, unbelievable. Thanks for having me, Brett. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. Yeah, good to see you again.
Idiot Kid Brother is here on the house. Andrew's
Life
here.
got in the way. I was in a different state this morning and everything, and things got in the way. But I'm home. I'm here. It's football season. It's great to hear your voice on so many different Husker podcasts and everything lately.
Making the tour, that's why we love Nebraska. Is there's so much media coverage, and what that reflects is a fan appetite. You know what I mean? There's an appetite there for it. That's why there's so many shows, and I try and get on all of them. And shout out the Go Big Redcast that was on with them, and
guys are awesome.
Harry Sharp, Damon Benning, and Ravi Lula. That's coming up. So yeah, just trying to make the rounds. There's so much good coverage out there. The writers, not even to speak of the great writers out there, media, radio, everything. So you guys do a great job covering it.
Yeah, it's fun. I listen to all of them, which I often look at them like, how did I just, I spent 20 hours listening to podcasts this week. Did I do anything else? I don't know. But let's give the Huskers what they want. So here's I went back and listened to last year's, and you are just guzzling the Kool-Aid, which was fantastic. We really appreciated it. Had us starting, I think 8-1 and then finishing 8-4, which I thought would have been fantastic. And you were very, very I guess what I always feel like the need, especially with recurring guests, I feel the need to apologize. because I think we should have won the games that you said we were going to win, and we just don't. And but like, I feel like I've been talking to you for like 5 years, and we continue to not win the games that like we're supposed to win. The ones we screwed up last year, you had us beating Illinois, and we screwed that one up. We lost to UCLA, and that was like unthinkable. I don't even know how we did that. And then Indiana beat the living tar out of us. And so those were the 3 that we screwed up. But then you had us losing to Wisconsin, and we won that. So we flipped one of them.
There you go.
All the other ones, total mess. But I that's less on your ability to predict, and that's more on the fact that we just never do anything we're supposed to do.
Well, some of those are total head scratchers. I think maybe the special teams hire might flip some of those close games. Some of those heartbreakers might start to flip the other way because, gave some wins away there. I think they left some W's on the board. I'm not even going to try and argue the Indiana. I totally missed Indiana. So did everybody else in this industry. They came out of nowhere and just steamrolled almost everybody. So I'll give you that one. The other ones I thought were winnable. I mean, the Illinois game, that was at least a coin toss, probably better than that in favor of Nebraska. I almost said Maryland. I know that was 2 years ago. It felt like so many of these November collapses. It's just like a recurring theme, but hopefully you're past that here in year 3 of the rule era. But I think I said 8-4 on the show last year, 6-6 final, so close, but at least we got you guys back to bowl season.
Got to 7-6 though, if you count the bowl. So we're kind of one off. It was pretty close. I mean, we won. I give you the benefit of the doubt. It was close. But it was more so like your research was very thorough. Like it was a coin flip to Illinois, coin flip to UCLA. You were stronger on USC, which I felt like we should have won the USC game, but yeah, I don't know. We just fall apart in November, but good picks regardless.
Okay, well, I'll take it. We'll see about this year. Let's see if we can hit that win total this time around.
Let's talk this year. Let's shift it in. Andrew, you ready?
Showtime, baby. Yeah, we're at the time of the year, Brett. I don't know how, maybe more seasoned folks like yourself keep up with everything, because I'm consuming multiple hours per day of just Husker content, and there is so much going on out in the world of sports. But
it's crazy right now.
We're like only 3 weeks out. I mean, spring hits, and you're like, okay, it's going to be forever until Husker football. I have nothing to do with my life, and then summer, you're getting a little more excited, and then fall camp hits, and like there is just bam news left and right, and then you're just getting pelted, and like I can't drink it all in.
I think this year's been weird because we didn't have the spring game. And I feel like without the spring game, we're like completely out of practice. And I even said like literally until 8 days ago, I was like, I don't even know who's on the roster. Like I know theoretically who's on the roster, but you haven't like seen them practice or play. You've never seen any film. You have like half the players, like 60 new players. So it is interesting that now it's like an absolute sprint to like learn the players, watch practice, learn the offense.
You're still adding players in the summer.
New coordinators, all sorts of crazy stuff. And then you're doing it across 68 teams, which is unbelievable.
That is one thing that has changed, I will say, is, a handful of years back when I was reaching out to talk to head coaches, talk to coordinators, they would give you a half hour of their time. They'd go through their whole roster. They would really tell you these rising stars, these under scouted players that they found, these diamonds in the rough. Now it's really shifted that they're so private. They don't want to share any details. They're almost paranoid about their players getting poached. You see this reflected by the cancellation of spring games. The limit, they're limiting media access now, practices. So I got to say that even though it's my 14th year doing it and, fit with the actual standalone magazine, it's been the hardest to get any kind of access this time around. And, so I'd still do my research as much as I can, but the actual head coach interviews, that's really been scaled back, and that's on their side.
Wow.
Yeah, that's super interesting perspective on it too, because I wonder, like, with 60 to 70 transfers per team across 68 schools, like I don't even know how you begin to start to understand.
Yeah.
We just have to look at Nebraska.
I mean, Purdue added 70 players this offseason.
Yep. Yeah, it's a 7-month project, really. I mean, once that confetti falls on the national title stage, I really start to move forward towards the next book. And, January, February is a lot of stats and graphics. That's what you see on the pages on the left side. But then March, you have spring ball. You look at that first wave of transfers. Then April, it's the second wave of transfers. Then at that point, you pretty much know your roster. But then you got to then write a whole book. So, then it's April, May, June is the writing and editing. Again, it's a one-man show, so I'm doing it all. And then the final bit is the design, and then finally the picks. I wait until the very, very end to make a call, and that's like early July. Got to analyze the schedules and all of that, and then it almost sucks in a way because it's so much work. It's 7 months worth that I only have about a month to talk about it, because now I'm already getting questions about week 1 or fall practice and all that, and it's not part of the book. It's a shame how condensed the schedule is.
So speaking of predictions, I was anxiously, as I opened up the book, I scrolled to look at where you had us in the Big Ten. My heart was racing because I know how accurate you were, and I think you nailed us last year. And I saw us at 7th. And so my first question is, how dare you? My second question is, talk us through. You've got Penn State. It seems like everybody's extremely high on Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon again. Then Michigan, USC, Indiana, you still got up there, and then Nebraska. I actually think that's probably pretty fair. I like being ahead of Iowa. I like being ahead of a lot of teams we play, like Minnesota and Michigan State, ahead of UCLA, ahead a lot of teams. I mean, tell me about the Big Ten as a whole and how you sort of see it shaking out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you start at the top, and there's really 3 powerhouse teams right now, and really it's 2 powerhouse machines with Ohio State and Oregon. The way that they are recruiting, their talent acquisition is next level. It used to always just be Ohio State was at the top of this, but now Oregon is matching them. If you break it down per player, not just the 24/7 sports like cumulative, but per player this cycle, Oregon was number 1 in high school recruiting and number 1 in transfers. It is a new caliber of player going up to Oregon. Now, I don't think that clicks immediately. I wrote there in the book, they're my pick for the national title next year, 2026. But I still see a playoff team. And you know how long the season is. Maybe they grow into form ahead of schedule. But long story short, I see Ohio State and Oregon as your recruiting powers. And with Penn State, I see a really veteran team. I see a lot of guys that could have gone pro as mid to maybe late NFL draft picks. But they returned. Almost all of them are back in state college. So really veteran team. They were in the Final Four last year. Strong track record the last handful of years. Great coordinators with Andy Kotelnicki, and they stole Jim Knowles from Ohio State. So they're really the total package for me this year, Penn State. I have Penn State winning it, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, and those are my 3 playoff teams from the league.
Okay. And then as you look at it, then are you clumping it together then? Because it looks like you've got Michigan, USC tied at 4th, and Indiana, Nebraska, then Washington, Illinois tied. Like, is that kind of like do you have like Michigan, USC could potentially be in that top 3, or is it like those 3 are so far in a caliber of their own, and then it's
I would draw a fence right there. Those 3 are in their own class right now for 2025. They're just super rosters, whatever term you want to use. Everything else behind them, they have serious questions. And I would group together this Michigan, USC, Indiana, Nebraska as your ranked, top 25 caliber teams.
Thank you for including us.
Yeah, well, I've got Nebraska 26, but for this, I'll throw you in there. I got a little Kool-Aid flowing.
Not to win.
But I see that this tier of teams, they're solid. They recruit well. With Indiana's example, I guess they got a lot of transfers in, but the other 3 are great recruiters. They're coming off winning seasons. And Michigan has the defense. I think USC with Lincoln Riley will have the offense. Indiana, I don't think Indiana is going to fall completely off. It's just not going to be your normal, 1990s or 2000s Indiana that's going 2-10. I think they have a little bit of staying power, not playoff caliber, but there's enough roster talent that they're still a legit ranked team. And then with Nebraska, I like their trend. I mean, it's improving each year under Matt Rule. If you were looking at my game grader formula, that's my number 1 formula. They were 8th last year in the Big Ten. So moving up a spot, and I think that's due to a lot of returning production on offense, second-year quarterback, 5-star quarterback there with Raiola. And then I really like what they added around him. That's the key, is they really beefed up the offensive line with 2 key transfers. They both made my all-transfer team with Spindler and Pritchett. And it must be a deep line if Pritchett's not even getting first-team snaps. I saw that come through, and who knows, it might just be a practice grouping, but kind of reads to the depth a little bit there. So I like what I see from the line. And then at receiver, I think you needed some help there, and you stole 2 Power 4 starters. You got Dane Key coming from Kentucky, and Isaiah Hunter, the number 1 from Cal. So I think you have a second-year quarterback and now some better stuff around him to work with. So I like that. I like Holgerson in the second year. you know, you're the more I keep talking, I'm going to move them up the ladder a little bit. But no, I think they certainly belong in this, 15th through 30th range if you're ranking them.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And so as I'm looking through a lot of your rankings here, all Big Ten offense, you've got Henry Lutovsky in the second team, Dane Key in the third team. I think that's, those are definitely two standouts we're expecting a lot from. And you mentioned the transfers that we expected to have a lot come in from, which is great. Unit ranks wise, I thought this was pretty interesting to look at. QB 7th, running back. So this is in the conference for those not watching. You got quarterback unit rank at 7th, running back at 11th. I'm going to circle back on that. Wide receiver at 5th, offensive line at 5th, D line at 7th, linebacker group at 8th, DBs at 8th. Talk me through kind of those rankings themselves. I would agree. I'm probably most nervous about running back. Let me ask you two questions. One, I'm most nervous about running back, which seems like, you've got us 11. And then quarterback wise, Raiola comes in as the number 1 ranked high school quarterback. But it seems like after the season, everyone's kind of has him in this 7 to 10 range in the Big Ten and like not even a top 25 quarterback in the country. Talk to me about kind of both of those areas as you see them, as you look at like the whole conference.
I'll say that this unit rankings grid is one of the hardest things to put together in a preview magazine. It really is tough. And these numbers sound bad, but you're in a mega conference here, 18 teams. So yeah, it's a tough exercise. I'd encourage you guys to try to go through. But yeah, looking at Raiola, look, I was impressed at times too. He definitely has the arm for it. He's got the elusiveness in the pocket to extend plays. But and I think we grade true freshmen pretty hard. We should be a little more lenient. It's hard for an 18-year-old to take over a Power 4 program like that. But looking at the numbers, yeah, he placed 10th in the conference last year in QB rating, 13 touchdowns, 11 picks, so almost even there. But yeah, I think you'll see a second-year growth. That's why I have him moving up from 10th up to that 7th range. And the guys ahead of him, they've been around a bit more. They're maybe a bit more proven. You got Drew Aller up there. I do like Mendoza coming over from Cal to take over at Indiana. You've got 5 stars galore at Oregon and Ohio State. So yeah, it's a tough exercise, but I'd like him in that upper tier. It's all about how much he can gain in the second season.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I think we're all very optimistic for him. I think it's almost as similar to Nico at Tennessee, where like once you see a full season, you see the flaws and you see the positives and negatives, but like I feel like people are almost higher on like an Arch Manning who hasn't played at all, and you're like, you're kind of like, shouldn't you be anchoring more on Raiola, who has thrown for thousands of yards and started 12 games, as opposed to a kid who didn't play. And the Steve Spurrier line on Arch Manning was like, he couldn't beat out a 6th rounder, so why are we so confident he's going to be a Heisman winner?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I think it's interesting because you just don't know. You're assuming he's going to be Peyton Manning, and you don't know. And we kind of know what Raiola is, but he is 18 turning 19. He's young.
Yeah. I think you tend to see that too. A second-year starter, especially when you're talking a true freshman to a true sophomore, that's your biggest gains. I do think it's huge that they retained and kept Dana. He has a track record speaking to his his work as an OC, as a head coach. He's always cutting edge. I saw his quote where he's saying they're not going to all of a sudden go air raid. I don't think it's going to be 2010s Big 12 air raid style, but you got to think he's still on the cutting edge scheme wise, and he's going to get these guys open for him. So that's why I'm bumping him up a few spots here, a natural progression there from 12th, 11th, 10th up to 7th. But there's a lot of room to grow, and a lot of that does, hey, it's a team sport. You got to have the units around you too. That's why I think with Arch Manning, you might get a little more buzz, is because Texas is a legit national title contender. He's got a national title roster around him. You look at their roster and all the 4 stars, 5 stars, top 100 guys. It's a conveyor belt. So that factors in when you have that kind of buzz with the team, and you're going to be protected by a perfect line and perfect receivers. That all factors in. But yeah, I like Raiola. I'm going to like him even more this fall. I like what they did at the offensive line, like I talked about with the 2 transfers, and getting a lot of veteran guys back. I think finally we've been talking, when is that pipeline really going to click? Maybe now. Maybe it's got to be now. They're veteran, and they added in those 2 guys. And if I had a question mark, it might be the defensive line, and it's not for lack of raw talent and ceiling. It's just a question mark because the duo there, Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher last year, they meant so much to the front. not only in the pass rush, but in absorbing gaps in the run game. And I think we might take for granted how big they were. So you take those two out, you go through a coordinator change, albeit internal. But I mean, I think the restart up front is a little bit of a question for me. I know those guys have blue chip billings. They're all, 4 stars or top 150 guys, but just the change of that magnitude is a little bit of a question for me.
You also reminded me, you nailed the Tony White prediction last year. We asked you if Tony White was going to be here this year, and you're like, no, he's probably not going to be here. It's like, yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, well, it was a win that they got him for 24. I remember after 23, I think it was UCLA opened up. That's his alma mater. We were thinking he might go, but to get him back was crucial just to continue the development. And you know what? The stats fell a little bit, but sometimes it's bigger than stats. If you watch Nebraska play, just their intensity, their physicality is finally back. I mean, that had been gone for so long. I mean, the whole Riley era, most of the Frost era. So they finally were out there, sprinting around on the ball, flying around. So that was great. I think he installed a culture on defense, and hopefully that has continued forward without him.
My quick question, Brett, before we jump into the Husker specific stuff. So I like to look back in order to look forward. So I'm looking back at Dana Holgerson's offensive coordinator stats, and they are just eye popping from 2007 to 2010. His national rankings in points per game were 7th, 10th, 2nd, 3rd. His yards per game were 2nd, 1st, and 3rd. His pass yards per game were 1st, 2nd over the course of 4 years. So I see things like that, and of course I'm just salivating. I'm like, just let Raiola's cannon loose, baby. Light it on fire. But when you are looking at games, and obviously that might not be our strength, like you said, he's not going to jump right into an air raid offense or something here at Nebraska. What is the number one stat that you would look for, I guess, like on offense, and then maybe the number one stat on defense, then when you say like, okay, this team has definitely got the edge? Like if you were going to be placing money, which I know you're not going to tell us to place money, when you look at teams head to head, what's the number one, like, most telling stats for you?
Well, it's not really traditional stats. I've got them in the book, but it's the formulas I've built out. My game grader, which takes into account all the relevant stats, and I weigh them effectively. And I like my opponent adjusted offense, opponent adjusted defense numbers. But I mean, more traditional stats. I think if you're looking at Raiola and you want the improvement from the offense, I would look right at that touchdown to pick ratio. I mean, you got to take care of the ball, that you're leaving points on the field. And you know how many of these games come down to one score, unfortunately, over the last couple of years. So if you can, remove a turnover or two every game or every few games, that's going to flip games. So for biggest improvement number, I got to see that touchdown to pick ratio improve, and it will. He's a second-year starter. You're going to see that improved. Additionally, what I'd like to see from Nebraska is the O-line run push number move up. I think that and the yards per carry, same deal. I want to see more of a predictable, steady run game. And I think that was kind of lacking last year. And you didn't really think of it as Nebraska, but it wasn't really there. So I want to see better run push and then better taking care of the ball by Raiola.
Yeah.
I had forgotten. I'm looking at your results for last year within your preview here. I honestly, I legitimately black out so much of the season, especially after it performs poorly. I forgot we were the worst in the country in almost every offensive category.
It was tough.
103 in scoring offense, 103 in points per play, 94 in total offense, 104 in yards per play. I remember parts of the season being painful to watch, but 2 years ago is we didn't even have we had Jeff Sims. We had Jeff Sims. Last year, I was like, I don't know. We did some stuff. I didn't realize we were 100th in every offensive category.
That's the only time Nebraska doesn't want to be red is in the color-coded section of the stats. You don't want red. That means bad news.
Red's bad. A lot of red. Red across the board. The only thing we're green in is returning production, which is great.
There you go. Yeah. Trends are up.
The other telling thing about that, just as a brief side note, is I don't know if you caught a couple of days ago, Holgerson was just describing how this all came about, how he ended up coming to Nebraska. And we actually wanted him after the 2023 season. Rule was ready to make him an offer, and he basically did. Called him up, and he was like, I'm just not ready. So the reason he joined midway through the season is because the courtship had already started. And Rule said Satterfield got 1 year, basically. So he let him go until Holgerson was ready. So the writing was already on the wall, and then we ended up, 103rd in scoring offense. You had us at, Brett. You had us at 103rd in points per play at 0.35, 94th total offense, 104th in yards per play. We don't need to focus on it. Let's move on to 2025.
I just didn't know we weren't top 100 in anything. It's like, yeah, you ask what category we should move up in. Like, how about literally any of them?
Yeah, all the above. But you notice his first game when he was the full-time coordinator was that 44-point explosion against Wisconsin. So
yeah, we're back.
Something to build off. Yeah.
Let's talk. Should we talk the next season?
Let's get into it, baby.
Okay.
Let's try and predict the future.
Brett, you were good last year. Very, very close. And if we hadn't screwed it up, we would have been 8-4. Let's kick things off. We're playing Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In Arrowhead.
Yeah.
On Thursday night to kick things off. How do you feel about Cincinnati?
And Brett, before you get into it, I want you to give us every single game. I want a reason why Nebraska could win the game. We need.
I'll give you the Kool-Aid spin. Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't think you need much Kool-Aid in the opener. I really like Nebraska in the opener. With Cincinnati, you have a middle-tier Big 12 team, and at Media Days, Scott Satterfield was saying it's his deepest team yet, and that might be true, but that's all relative. I think that there's a lot of advantages for Nebraska. They have the talent advantage in almost every position group. I see Nebraska covering that 6.5 spread and winning. And, it must be a little nerve-wracking, though, because Nebraska seems to always be in this season kickoff spot with the whole nation watching. I mean, it's the only Power 4 game that night, I believe. So big pressure moment there for Raiola playing in his, in Mahomes' stadium. I know that'll get covered a million times. You're going to see that 100 times on the broadcast. But no, I think Nebraska wins here and covers the 6.5.
You've got them 9th in the Big 12, which I like. I wish you had them 16th. But 9th is like 9th gives me anxiety.
Yeah. And a little bit, but I think that it's going to be a good test for that new defensive line I was telling you about. The younger guys at Nebraska going up against a pretty veteran and highly rated offensive line for Cincinnati. So you'll learn a little bit about it. It's still one of the weaker opponents on the roster for Nebraska this year. But
okay.
Hey, I'm going to go with it.
I'm anxious about it only because I'm anxious about every opening game. Exactly as you said, we've been broken and shattered to pieces in Ireland. We're broken. I think Frost lost every single.
We have lost heartbreakers around the world.
Frost lost every season opener. I think his entire 5 years.
He lost everything. That guy stinks.
R.I.P.
We're 10-35 in one-score games since 2018, as you touched on in the book, Brett.
That's enough of that.
You're saying this is not a one-score game, though.
Well, I think they're going to win by more than that 6.5. So I think they win by double digits, and hopefully that brings them forward into the top 25 buzz.
We're 1-0, baby.
1-0. Akron. Go goodbye, Akron.
Well, it's going to be a tough one. No, I got you here. I think it's a win against Akron and a win against Houston Christian there. I see a 3-0 start. You don't have to leave Lincoln. There's no funny business there. Any kind of weird road game. I think those are 2 wins there. So
so we're 3-0.
3-0. Yeah.
3-0.
Houston Christian has a CVS attached to one of their end zones almost. That's not a joke.
Great.
High
school stadium. All right, 3-0 headed to Michigan. You've got Michigan ranked pretty high, and I read your pre-CV. You're higher on Michigan than most. Let's talk about Michigan.
Yeah, well, in this game, this is going to be pivotal. I mean, one of those swing games that might determine if this is really a special season or still a building block, but maybe not anything. 10-winner playoff season. But I'm going to go Michigan here. I have them higher rated. I got them 18th in the country, and there's some reasons for that. Their defense is stout again. They do recruit at a great clip. They're always in that top 10, top 15 range. And it seems like they tried to attempt to rebuild a quarterback. That's what happened last year. They were completely broken on offense. All their line went to the pros. J.J. McCarthy was gone. They had nothing to backfill, and that offense was terrible. So I think they addressed that by signing the number 1 quarterback in the country, Bryce Underwood. And by now, when you're playing him, he'll have had a couple tune-up games as well as a road trip at Norman. They play in Oklahoma in the second game. So he's going to get his big game feel there. Should be going into Nebraska a little bit more well-seasoned. So
he's still a freshman though.
True. I know, but I'm just going off of Michigan was solid last year. Terrible offense. So I'm just saying if you add anything at all to that offense, you've got a complete team. So That's the pick. But then for the optimist angle, the Kool-Aid spin,
Yeah, hit
we'll
me.
say what you just said. I mean, he's an 18-year-old true freshman. He did not look that great in the spring game. I mean, there were some mixed results from spring ball, which now has become kind of a propaganda machine. And if it's even half negative, that's a bad sign from spring. So
Right.
there was a lot of mixed messaging from there. They went out actually and signed a guy from South Carolina. I'm drawing a blank on the name. It was a former starter, kind of a career transfer guy, but basically that signaled that they wanted some insurance. I viewed that as an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Jake Garcia, I believe is his name. So
Wow.
that's the Kool-Aid spin, is that maybe this freshman quarterback doesn't pan out, or he's not what he's billed as, and then there's still that broken offense that they were last year. So
Yeah, I guess
there
I'm
you
just
go.
hanging on. I would agree. I think Michigan's going to be extremely tough, and I think Michigan and Penn State are kind of the two everybody's got circled as probably the toughest games. But I look at him. I look at him being a freshman. I look at Sharon Moore being 5-5 in his first season, and just not that good. And that was a Harbaugh team that he built to perfection. And he had all, a very senior laden team, great running back, great quarterback, like all future NFL guys that I feel like we're hanging on to that 23 team. And the optimist in me is like, I don't know, maybe they don't reclaim it and they stay at this 5-5 clip and they're just not that good.
Yeah, we'll see. And they played great ball against their two toughest teams. It's really strange with them. I mean, against Ohio State, they knocked them off, and then against Alabama, and not just a bowl game Alabama. This was the whole roster that Alabama all decided to play that game, and they still beat them. So
Yeah.
I think what you have is a really strong defense that hasn't gone anywhere. They continue to bring in all conference guys. That defensive line is going to test the Nebraska unit big time. But yeah, I think if you're looking for the optimist, look at that offense as a total question mark.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
3-1.
gotta say, I like that. Looking through your book and stuff as well, there, like, it seems to me like it is going to come down to our young defensive line that is basically, almost fully replaced, and their young offensive line that's almost fully replaced. Like their rushing offense, which that's their identity. They fell to 73rd last year.
Yeah.
Their yards per carry was 78. Like, that's not Michigan football. And then on top of that, they threw more picks than touchdowns.
Yeah, totally broken offense. And, sometimes you do see some regression after a national title season where they send most of the team to the pros. That was expected. Plus, you had the coaching change. You had all that drama around the Connor Stallions thing. Again, not excuses, but that just puts you into the framework of where they were. Yeah, offense was terrible. And we'll see. I mean, it looks like they addressed it, but that's still a huge question coming in.
I'm just going to address Eags here, who is a Boston College fan. Asking about where to watch the opener, Barrios or the Dubliner. Let me tell you, neither are notable sports bars.
Get Mary Ann's on that graphic.
It just happened to be the only two bars that he's been to in Omaha. So
Mary Ann's in the house.
Amazing.
RIP. All right, so we're 3-1. We're heading into Michigan State. You
3-1.
got Michigan State as the 13th ranked team in the Big Ten, the 48th ranked team overall. They appear to be a tire fire, and I hope you tell me they are a tire fire. Please tell me that's a win.
Yeah, that's a W. I've got Nebraska winning it. And I do like Michigan State more than most other magazines. A lot of them have them towards the bottom. I've got them 13th. There's enough to like that they could maybe push for a bowl game this year. Jonathan Smith, he took over a pretty broken program, and he rebuilt Oregon State into winners, and he's trying to do that again here. He's got a 5-star quarterback in Aaron Childs. But yeah, there's a lot of roster questions here to pick them to win. So I'll go with Nebraska here at home, coming off the bye, I believe. No, not off a bye. Sorry, I misspoke. But yeah, I see a 4-1. No, it is off a bye. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, coming off the bye, get it right here in Lincoln. I think you get to 4-1.
Cap. It's favorable. I think. I mean that it's interesting in the sense that if we don't trip up at Cincinnati, beat Akron, HCU, and if you're able to pull off a Michigan win, you're 5-1. Regardless, 4-1 is fantastic. So I'll take that. Maryland, what do you got with these guys? They're always an interesting bunch.
They were an interesting bunch when they had Talia Tagovailoa as their quarterback. And those 3 years he was there, they were a pretty potent offense at times. They were putting up a lot of yards. They'd have to win high-scoring shootouts, but they could win them. But that really fell off last year. Now that he has gone, Tagovailoa is gone. Defense really fell off too. So, and when you look at Maryland, a lot of questions again. Could be some of the most questions in America. And what happened after spring ball, a lot of their key starters, at least you could hang your hat on a couple proven starters. One by one, they all transferred out in April and May. So what little talent they did have is all gone. So it's completely empty over there. So I'll call for Nebraska to go into College Park and win decisively. I mean, that'll be a double-digit spread and double-digit victory.
That's fantastic. So you've got them 17th in the Big Ten, right down there with Purdue, who just can barely field a roster. What happens to Loxley?
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. And, I think he's built up enough goodwill there. You got to remember the program context of Maryland. I mean, they've been irrelevant for quite some time and made the move to the Big Ten and struggled for a while. So, to get them to back-to-back 8-win seasons in 22 and 23, 3 straight bowl wins, they were hanging their hat on that for a while. And a lot of that, looking back, I put this in the book, maybe it really was just the Tagovailoa effect. I mean, was it Loxley or was it his quarterback? And if you look before Tagovailoa and after him, it's been brutal. So he's going to have to rebrand himself here. He's going double coordinator change and new quarterback. So we'll see. I'm not buying it. I think that they're past their prime.
Love to hear it. Have you read the book, The Price, What It Takes to Win in College Football's Era of Chaos?
Not yet. That's I got to get that on the list.
Have you read it, Nader?
Yeah, Maryland basically what Dave's about to say is Maryland can't afford their best players.
That would explain them all leaving.
It's a pretty wild book, and you should read it because you're a college football fan. Anybody who's listening should read it too. It's called The Price. It's by Armin Katayan, What It Takes to Win in College Football's Era of Chaos. It was written written? What is it, January? Or was it this year or last year? Now I forget. But 2 years ago?
It was right after the Harbaugh win.
Yeah, so 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was weird to read, Brett, because it was like literally talking about stuff that happened like 3 weeks ago. It was like,
right.
And then Harbaugh won this game. I was like, wait, that just happened. How come I'm reading this in a book? But anyway, they really went in depth to the NIL kind of chaos and what was happening. And they spent a ton of time with Maryland. And they talked about how basically Talia had the program like, I don't even know what the right word is. Like held them.
He basically held them hostage. Yeah,
there it is. Held them hostage. Like would walk in before games and say, "I need like $200,000."
Yeah. Well, like specifically their bowl game.
Jeez, wow,
it was crazy. He was like,
yeah, okay. I didn't know any of that. That that maybe speaks to some of that locker room. I mean, if you look at him without him on the roster, Loxley's 7-17 overall, 2-16 in the Big Ten. I mean, that's
and I think that was some of like the leverage I think he had was like I want I think the book said he asked for like $250,000 or he wasn't going to play in the bowl game, and they were like, well, yeah, we got to give it to him or else like the program falls apart type thing.
Yeah, it's brutal. Wow.
Which who knows how much that is happening across the country and why Loxley felt comfortable sharing that, but he did share a lot of that type of stuff of like we don't have the money to be able to pay guys $250,000 to play in a bowl game. Or whatever that number was, but it was a lot, and there was multiple players that walked in there. But anyway, that was my Maryland story. Loxley was in there a lot, and his second story was how he because he coached with Saban, and they said this in the book how he the night after Saban won the national championship and Loxley was on staff, they went out and celebrated the national championship. Woke up the next morning, and they had like an 8 a.m. meeting with Saban, and he was pissed because some of the plays they'd called didn't work like the night before, and they were behind in recruiting and all that stuff. And he's like, I quit the next day. Like I can't deal with this. Like we just won the national championship and we're getting like, our butts chewed out.
I believe it though. When you hear him talk, it's crazy. It's just a different mindset, but the process. Anyway,
that's all the Maryland info I've got is more juice and gossip. Let's talk Minnesota. So Minnesota, I'm going to say it's one that everyone chalks up as an instant win when they look at it, despite the fact that Minnesota routinely beats us. And it's unbelievably frustrating because PJ Fleck drives all of us absolutely bananas. But they are routinely a challenging team. It's always a cold, weird game that comes up in the middle and part of the year. Yeah. They're sneaky strong. They're good on the offensive line. You've got them ranked 11th. What do you think of PJ Fleck in his 1,000,000th year there? Like, what do you think of Minnesota?
Yeah, well, I think you stole a little bit of my point there, and I agree with you. I mean, it is kind of one of those trap games, and I've got this chalked up as a loss for Nebraska. When you're going through, it's – oh, no, Andrew's not liking it. The hat's off. But here's why. I mean, you're looking at this, you're wondering, where is that surprise game going to come? I think that Nebraska is going to be really up for Northwestern at home, against Iowa at home. I like those matchups, but I think you're going to be in a little trap situation here. And Minnesota is always tough. They're physical. It's a Friday night game. It's coming off a short travel week for Nebraska, back-to-back road games. All those little factors are in there, but basically, you had to find one of these disappointing traps, and I think that might just be this Minnesota game.
Yeah, it's one that everybody's sort of, the people who are jumping to 10-2, which I am as well. You skip over that one. You look at Michigan, you look at Penn State, you spend a lot of time on those two. For whatever reason, these guys have just been continually like always meet our match there. And now I'm trying to look up their Wikipedia here, but yeah, it's one I'm nervous about.
I mean, they owned the Frost era for sure.
Yeah, 4-0 against Frost, and a couple of those were down. Or actually, was it 4-1, or did he beat him in the first year? I think it might be 4-1 against Frost. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them are down to the last second. I remember that one touchdown in the back of the end zone a couple years ago in the opener. Yeah, it's just it seems to be just a trap for Nebraska. I mean, they broke the Colorado skid and the Wisconsin series, but I think this one you got to get off your back too. But yeah, I'm just looking for potential here because short week, it's a road game. You're going to be up for those bigger games you talked about. This one just it's calling my name as a potential loss.
Yeah. Okay. They beat us 5 times in a row. Now I'm looking at it.
But give us. Let's think in a. Let's pretend we all just drank Kool-Aid all night, and how do we beat them?
Well, you beat them with talent. I think Nebraska is probably the more talented team.
Yeah.
When you look at what they've got coming back, I mean, they're restarting at quarterback. I do like their running backs. I think Darius Taylor is one of the best. I have him on my third team, on my All Big Ten team. But I mean, with the new quarterback, he's young.
Yeah.
A lot of that core of their roster, that offensive line, defensive line is being replaced. These are not just 1-year starters, but 3-4-year starters gone with Ursary, Carroll, Cooper. That's like 100+ combined starts right there on the offensive line. So I think, I mean, talent-wise, I like Nebraska. But if it was just played on paper, then this would be 9-3 every year. But I see this as one of those tricky games, tricky matchup where it falls. So, but yeah, that's the optimist spin is you got to out-talent them and maybe get after this young quarterback.
If Malachi Coleman has one catch against us, I'm going to scream.
Oh my God, I forgot he was up there. That's a mess. I think they hinted at too. I figured out he was the highest paid player last year. And did you see that, Andrew?
No way.
They said there was some comment and during the presser where they're talking a rule about
roster
management.
No, I don't think it was highest, but he basically said
our highest paid player. He said our highest paid.
Pay.
No, but he said our highest paid player didn't even play, which was Malachi Coleman.
Oh, he said that. Oh my God.
He's like our highest. He's basically what you guys don't appreciate about NIL is it doesn't. Our highest paid player didn't even contribute for us, and so you have to build a roster, and it's very hard and challenging and all that. But anyway, I forgot he was up there. That's once they leave the program, I just black them out. I'm like, oh, they don't, they don't play anymore. Okay. Not gonna play for us anymore.
We went on talent. They've got a young quarterback that doesn't sound like he has. We know much about him, so I'm sure he won't look like a Heisman candidate against us or anything.
It's not your typical Minnesota. Like when you think Minnesota's at its peak, it's when they have this 6-year quarterback who's 25 and they have a very veteran offensive line and they're just older than you and they don't make mistakes. This is not that. I mean, you got a brand new quarterback, a younger offensive line. I think one, maybe both coordinators gone. Definitely the defensive coordinator's gone. So they're restarting in a lot of spots. So that's the optimist spin there.
It does scare me that they were top 10 in defensive points per game allowed. I mean, that's a pretty telling stat.
Yeah, but they're the coordinator there left from Miami, so they're rebuilding, and they're handing the keys over to a young guy. We'll see. I mean, you can't always go off that. They're beatable for sure, and they're probably more talented than Nebraska is.
Good.
But
good. Yeah. Okay. Are you talked into a win yet?
I'm getting there.
He's got. I think we're in a good spot. So Northwestern comes up next.
That's okay.
I'm liking the way you have these ranked because now we're saying Michigan State, who's 13th, we play them, then we play the 11th ranked team, then we play the 16th ranked team, and Maryland is 17th. I like it we are playing this entire stretch of Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota,
The flow of the
Northwestern.
schedule is nice, yeah.
The Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern is a string of 11 through 18s. So Northwestern, you've got it 16th in the Big Ten.
And if you're going to really make a run at it, you almost want to go perfect in October. I mean, those are 4 really winnable games. I basically settled with 3-1 there with the upset at Minnesota. But honestly, it's a great schedule for Nebraska this year. Without divisions and being such a mega conference, it's so big. And the schedules really determine a lot. I mean, look at what Iowa draws and Wisconsin draws this year, where they draw, I think, 7 of the top 10. No, that's not the case here. And it's very manageable for Nebraska. So you got to lean on that. You got to take the W's that are out there. And that October, in an ideal world for Nebraska, should be 4-0. I'm settling 3-1, but anything under 3-1, you look at the rest of the schedule, it's going to be a problem. So I think they handle Northwestern. It's in Lincoln. There's just no reason to pick Northwestern here. They're not really a standout or strong at any position.
Great. I'm good with that. Let's talk USC because I want to spend some time there because they're a little bit confusing to me. I felt like we should have beat them last year. I wasn't that impressed with their team. I was not impressed with Lincoln Riley, and I usually am extremely impressed with Lincoln Riley because he beat us in Oklahoma, and his teams were absolutely outstanding down there. Wasn't that impressed with the way they're coached, with their offense, with the way that they're coming about. But, I mean, as you look at their season last year, they basically lost 4 or 5 games by 1 score. So they're sort of like right in every game that they're playing, but they're not the USC of old. They don't seem to be as talented as they historically are. Like, what do you think? What do you make of them? You've got them 4th in the Big Ten, 15th overall. Is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat? What do we think about this one?
Well, I think on a program level, there is a little bit of talk of hot seat out there, and I want to see him survive this year enough to get to coach next year's recruiting class. If you look ahead a little bit, I know it's early, but the 2026 recruiting class, USC is #1 in the country. It looks like they're going all in to really revamp that recruiting machine they had out there in Southern California. So I want to see him survive to go coach that. That might be a transitional point for the whole program and really be the signal that USC is back. So. But to get there, they pretty much have to win, 8, 9, 10 games to keep his job. And I think they do. The Vegas number coming in 7.5. I see more of a 9-3 from USC. And you touched on it, but last year, 5 one-score losses. And, I probably shouldn't be bringing that up on a Nebraska show because usually what happens is that's an indicator the team was stronger than their record. And, you can't do the what if looking back, but projecting forward, I think that they were better than that record showed. So, my game grader formula agreed, had them 18th overall last year, 5th in the Big Ten last year, despite the record. So when you look at that advanced stat there, and then they were number 4 in the transfer portal, number 5 in high school recruiting. So I just see them staying in that number 5 band of teams. So I've got them 4th. And then a couple things too. They have a second-year coordinator, second-year quarterback. These are things in the magazine I talk about a lot, and you tend to see trends there. Similar to how we're talking about Dana in his second season and Raiola in his second season, but USC has that as well. They really spent a lot in the portal this year. They're one of the nation's biggest spenders, talking about how expensive transfers are. I mean, they went all in this year. So I like what they have, and they're a solid team.
What are their gaps? What can we exploit here?
Well, it's still unproven on defense, their level of physicality. We keep thinking it's going to click, and it really hasn't yet. I know that Danton Lynn, the coordinator, made some gains last year, but if you look at their stat profile, it really wasn't that strong defensively. I'm kind of a little more optimistic. I'm putting a lot of stake in year 2 for him. They added a 350-pounder in the trenches. Silver's his name, from Kentucky. But yeah, I think if you want a weakness, it might just be overall physicality and maybe a quarterback. I know he was 3-1 as a starter, Mayava, but small sample size. He was pretty much tied with Raiola on the big board there for quarterback rating. Yeah. So, it's still unproven that he's going to ascend to being a Lincoln Riley type quarterback.
They got a tough schedule. I'm looking at it on your preview here. We've got pick 6 previews on, so making sure that those who are listening, we got over almost 1,000 listening live. Pick6previews.com. Check it out. It's got all this unbelievable information, but it looks like USC's got Illinois, who's going to be tricky for them. Then they got Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Iowa, and Oregon. I mean, that's 5 tough games right there. I mean, I guess, you handle 3 of the 5 of them and 2 of the 5 of them, and that gets them to 9.
Yeah, what I see with this pick is it's almost just another reference to Illinois. And I'm really selling Illinois this year. If you saw, I got them 9th in the Big Ten. A lot of people have them 12th in the country. I saw the coaches poll. I could not believe that they're ranked 12th in the country. But so part of the USC over 7.5 is also at the same time selling Illinois. I think USC goes into Illinois and wins that game. So if you flip that to a W, you're looking at a really likely 5-0 start heading into the bye. Even if you chalk up Michigan and Notre Dame as losses, I mean, I still think that out of Northwestern, UCLA, and Iowa, I think they win those, and it comes down to a Nebraska and Oregon. So yeah, I mean, I like them at least to go 7.5. I like over that. Maybe it's 8-4, maybe it's 9-3, but yeah, it's more an indication against Illinois.
So you've got us right now. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-3, which I think we'd be pleased with. Yeah, based on historicals, but we are now heading into the UCLA, Penn State, Iowa trenches. We can't lose to UCLA. Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that we are?
Well, they shouldn't have lost last year. I don't know what happened there. That was another one of those that you probably should have had looking back on it on paper and add it to the list. But no, with UCLA this year, similar how I talked about Maryland, how a lot of star players and starters transferred out. That seemed to be the trend here again for UCLA. I don't know if they're unable to match the NIL spending or there's just not an appetite for it out there or what, with the major exception coming after spring ball with the Nico drama. But,
unbelievable.
Aside from the Nico deal, this roster really took some hits and they were projected towards the bottom of the conference. Now, I think with Nico, that gives them a puncher's chance in some games. But I will say, I mean, if I'm going to be a little bit tough on Raiola, I got to be tough on Nico as well as a first-time starter and a former 5-star. And at Tennessee against winning teams, I know he tacked on some stats against some easy teams, but against winning teams, that was about half their schedule. He was like 110th in a lot of categories, 90th, 95th. So really came up small in big games. And that's a very quarterback-friendly offense that Josh Heupel has. I mean, he was putting up a trillion yards and points with pretty much anybody that would suit up a quarterback. So I don't really know what they have with Nico. So that's why in the Big Ten quarterback ratings, I have him well below Raiola. I like what I see more from Raiola so far. So
yeah, he's interesting because he left allegedly because Tennessee didn't have the parts around him that he felt he needed, and he went to UCLA of all places. I'm like, yeah, have fun there.
Yeah, right. And even at Tennessee, I mean, you could argue maybe they're restarting at some positions on offense, but one of the best defenses in the country backing you up there. So, I mean, he was going to be in a lot of competitive games on the defense alone. Just standing on the sidelines, Tennessee was a better team than UCLA. So, yeah, a questionable move there. I don't think it's enough to flip this to a toss-up or a loss for Nebraska. So I'll go W for Nebraska.
Good.
Love that.
All right, so we're up to 7-3. Heading to Penn State. I don't imagine you're feeling very good about this one.
Well, let's say I've got Penn State ranked number 1 in the country. They're my preseason pick to win it all. Now, as we saw with Ohio State last year, that doesn't mean undefeated. That doesn't even mean 11-1. So for your Kool-Aid, maybe Penn State's looking ahead to the playoffs, looking ahead to Indy. It's going to be freezing cold up there in State College. In fact, being just 2.5 hours away, I might try and drive up to that one if it's a ranked matchup or competitive in any way. But that's on the radar. I would love to go see Penn State this year. But yeah, so I'm going to go with Penn State here. I mean, I can't really go against a national champion pick, and they're my pick to win the conference. That's just you can't really find any weakness with Penn State this year.
Their weakness is James Franklin.
I know, and I hear that a lot. It's like this time around, he has the brains at the coordinator spot, so you can't even get him on that. And one note for you with Penn State is when they're the favorite, when they have the talent advantage, which is pretty much every game except Ohio State for them every year, but when he's the favorite, they're number 1 in the country straight up. They're 34-2 as a favorite the last 3 years, and then also as a favorite the last 3 years, number 1 against the spread. They cover 74% of the time when they're favorites. So I say that because I think they're going to be favored in every game, maybe not the Ohio State game, but at least 11. And I'm sure they'll be favored against Nebraska. They're at home in Happy Valley. So.
They got Oregon too. They got Oregon. They got Ohio State. I guess that's it.
They catch Oregon early, and we talked at the top how I like Oregon for next year, for 2026. They're going to be very young heading into Happy Valley, a whiteout game. I think it's the 3rd game of the year for Oregon. So you're catching them at a great time. I think Penn State wins that whiteout. Potential loss for them is Ohio State, obviously, but I think they're going to be 11-1 at worst.
Damn, their schedule is nothing. So they got
Their over-under is 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, they
in,
play beside
Vegas.
Oregon, Ohio State. They'll crush Northwestern. They'll beat Iowa. They'll beat Indiana. They'll beat Michigan State. They'll beat Rutgers. Damn, good for them. All right, so they're definitely in the they're definitely in the playoff.
You're an absolute lock for the playoff. Maybe they choke and go 10-2. That's still a playoff resume in this expanded bracket. There's no way they get to 9-3.
That is.
Yeah, that would take a catastrophe to get to 9-3.
I mean,
All
Franklin's done if they're 9-3.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Iowa, finish this thing off. So we're 7-4 heading to Iowa.
7-4, and it's time for revenge. I mean, it's unbelievable.
God.
It's unbelievable how this series has gone. And I just feel like if you're not following it close enough, like you must just. It's like a recurring episode every year when you play Iowa. This year was like a character of it. It was like almost unbelievable. What was it? A 10-0 lead late in the game.
Zero first downs, Brett.
It was all these,
you
know what it is with this rivalry. It's all those crazy outlier stats that I love to dig up, but it just seems to always be Nebraska, Iowa. Whether it be the way that Iowa and Nebraska both perform in one-score games in the opposite directions, their special teams performances in the opposite directions, but then also like recruiting is the other way. So it's just very bizarre. And then
they do have a shocking amount of it's the first time a team has ever done blank, and you're just like, okay, great.
I mean, I'm a total nerd with it too, like with the stats and the numbers, and like I always try and find those like one-off things, and it's always about Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah, it's like first time a team is won with 74 yards, and like okay.
Yeah. Man. So I think that enough's enough. I think Nebraska gets it done here. It's in Lincoln, and I think coming into that game with something like a 7-4 record, I think that could be fringe top 25 territory. There's going to be a lot of buzz around Lincoln, and I think they get it done. So I'm calling for 8-4. I think that's close to the Vegas number. I think it's 7.5 right now, and I really like it to be 8-4, and that's where I settle with Nebraska. So. Maybe you steal one of those upsets that I didn't call for. Maybe you avoid that Minnesota trap, and you're talking maybe 9-3. But right now, I'm going to go 8-4.
Love it. You had us at 8-4 last year. We let you down this year. Feel good about it. I especially like that. Yeah, it's like you got a Minnesota trap. You avoid that. USC, I feel like we match up better with. Penn State got it. Michigan got it. And it's like, yeah, you kind of walk through that schedule. You're like, ooh.
I the only other one I like I might be a little bit worried about too, is that Michigan State game. I just think there's some trickiness about Aiden Childs, and I think he can turn it on and stuff if given the right circumstances, and who knows how that defense actually turn out.
If we're being realistic, we have 12 tricky games the way that Nebraska historically plays, but Kool-Aid wise.
So Brett, here's a question for you. If Nebraska ends up 9-3, say that Minnesota game you flip to a win, are you hearing any whispers of the playoff? Like Alabama's 9-3 last year, but their schedule was a lot harder. At 9-3, are we fringe? Are we for sure out? Where would you see that?
Well, I think it's going to be a year-to-year thing. I know that's a cop-out, but I think you look at the 9-3 teams last year, they all fell short. It was South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Bama. But when you look at their resumes, especially I'll look at Ole Miss and Alabama, they had huge, massive wins. I mean, Ole Miss blew out Georgia, who was the SEC champion. Alabama beat Georgia in a close one, but still had a ton of resume builders. So I think for Nebraska at 9-3, given the 3 losses that we dealt them, being Penn State, Michigan, USC, you got to look hard to find a ranked win outside of those 3 games. So 9-3 with no ranked wins, I don't see it. Now, it's kind of a catch-22. Would you rather lose to some crappy teams and pull off a Penn State win to get to 9-3? I don't know. So I think what we've learned so far, and it's a short sample size, but 10-2 is a really good case from if you're in the Big Ten of the SEC. 10-2 you're feeling pretty good about it. 9-3, you're going to need a lot of chaos or just some other huge resume builders. Maybe your losses were fluky, like a missed field goal. I don't know. It's going to take a lot at 9-3 to get in there.
Yeah.
What I said this last year, and I'll say it again, of what would be awesome is just to be playing meaningful football into October and November, which we historically don't do. And I think that's possible here with, if you start So basically, you've got us losing this Minnesota game, but if you don't lose that, you're 7-1. That's meaningful football knocking on the door of a playoff.
That's
Regardless of
Well,
like,
here's the keg stand of Kool-Aid for you. I mean, if you go 3-0 to start, right? And
Yes.
then against Michigan, if that offense is still broken, I think you can
Yeah.
get to 4-0. You got a bye week.
Wow.
You're going to out-talent Michigan State. You're going to out-talent Maryland. You're going to
Keep going.
out-talent Minnesota.
Keep
You're
going.
going to out-talent Northwestern.
Keep going.
So then you're talking about, what is that there? That's an 8-0 heading into November.
19-0 by my count.
That's 8-0 against USC coming to Lincoln. And if that's the case, I might have to fly out there and see you guys. Come to your tailgate, your
Hell
amazing
yeah.
Omaha Steaks tailgate again. Because that was
yeah,
that was a great time. And I can't even imagine that place 8-0 in November. So there it is. I just did a whole keg stand of Kool-Aid. I'm ready for it. I can't wait to kick the season off.
Yeah, I mean, it's
coming out of our pores.
10 straight years I've looked at the schedule and been like, yeah, we should win all these games.
This is the year, baby. Brett, can I hit you with some over-unders on win totals for the Big Ten?
Sure.
Some of our other, I'm just gonna have you say over under, and if it's a shocking, like I disagree, we'll maybe open it up. But just give me a minute here, and I'm not using this as betting advice, but I am.
Let's use underdog.
So Illinois 7.5 over under.
You know, it's like I'm selling Illinois, but that number's lower than I thought it would be. I'm just gonna stick to my guns on selling them. I'll go under that. I mean, I thought it'd be more like the way that people are hyping them. I thought you were gonna say 9.5. The way that people have them in their top 10. Yeah. So actually, that kind of proves my point on Illinois. Imagine ranking a team 12th in the country, the coaches poll just did, and their win total is 7.5.
Right, and then give us
the break.
That's the same as Nebraska's.
So looking at their schedule real quick, Western Illinois is a W, Western Michigan's a W. I think they'll go 2-1 in the non-con. They could lose at Duke. I think they'll lose to Indiana, lose to USC, lose to Ohio State. So that's at 4 losses now. They'll lose at Washington. That's 5. I see 7-5, guys.
Wow.
I'm going to go 7-5.
Wow. They're minus 175 right now to go over, but that's, the public getting hyped up on them. But here's some other interesting ones that stood out to me. Wisconsin, over under 5.5.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I'm going under that. I have them. I have them missing bowl season. Yeah. Who would have thought that? I mean, my entire life as a college football fan and then writer and everything, they've been in a bowl game every single time until last year and came up short. But now the schedule really heats up. This is more a testament to their schedule.
It's a horrible schedule.
Yeah. Let me look real quick. I think they draw 7 of the Big Ten's top 10. And if you already think that they're below that tier, I think that they're like a middle to lower tier team. You're not going to pull most of those upsets anyway. So, it's bad news when Barry Alvarez has some negative quotes publicly about what's going on over there. So they're restarting on offense. That's also a concern. When you move from an air raid to more of a traditional running attack, I mean, you guys know this going through from Solich to Callahan, then back. It's like the Michael Scott snip, snap, snip, snap. It's just never ending. But, they're going back again. They're flipping it back to being the run-heavy Wisconsin. And I don't know. It's just too much change and too hard of a schedule. I'm going to go 5-7 for them.
Yeah, they've got Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Washington, Indiana. Forget it.
Toast. I think Fickle's toast, man. This is the end, which is crazy. All right, here's my last one, and it's going to be a 3-pack. So Iowa, Minnesota, and USC, their line is 7.5 wins for all of them. Which one is most likely to go over?
Yeah, I like USC there. We talked a little bit about it, and I think they're going to start out 5-0. I really do. I think that if you look at their non-conference right away, you got Missouri State. That's an FCS, now FBS transitional team. Georgia Southern from the Sun Belt. That's 2-0. Purdue, 3-0. Michigan State at USC. I like USC to win that. That's 4-0. And then it becomes that deal with Illinois. And we talked all about it. The reason I'm so low on them real quick with Illinois is it was a great coaching job last year by Bielema. Yes, a 10-win season. A lot of close wins. And when you look at my advanced stats profile, this does not look like a normal 10-win team. I mean, they were below average in almost every category on offense and defense, bottom 10 defense in the country for me. So I just don't see it. I know they bring everybody back, but I think that might be part of the reason that the roster already peaked at 10 wins. I don't see it matching. Wow. So anyways, back to USC with it is I think they win that 5th game to get to 5-0 start. Then you just got to find 3 more in October, November. So
Yeah.
I like USC to go over 7.5.
Okay.
And then the other ones are right on. I mean, Iowa, Minnesota, those are really tough coin flips there, right around 7-5 each. So maybe one of them breaks to 8-4, but I like USC for this.
Iowa's got a tough schedule. I like looking at this one. So they got Iowa State, which they always lose that game. They got Indiana. They got Wisconsin. They got Penn State. They got Minnesota. They got Oregon. So Penn State, Minnesota, Oregon, USC before playing us. That's a great stretch. They could lose 4 of those in a row before playing us. That's great. I like seeing that.
Yeah,
that warms my heart.
Sure.
Brett, we appreciate you having you on, man. I know it's super late for you. Thank you always for coming on the pod. Great to chat. Love your in depth. For those still listening, we had 1,100 of you guys join. We appreciate you coming on. It's pick6previews.com. This is the best college football magazine out there. Most accurate. Hopefully it's accurate this year. We go 8-4 or better. Check out pick6previews.com. Brett, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks a ton for the praise for the magazine. Thanks for having me. And great getting out to Lincoln last year and getting to meet so many of you fans, and obviously the HuskGuys and Go Big Redcast and everybody. But good luck this fall. Maybe our paths will cross at a game, hopefully so. But good luck, Nebraska. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Brett.